Everyone. Today I'm going to introduce you to the major political parties in the United States. The American political system is a two-party system, with the Republican Party and the Democratic Party at its center. The two parties, each with their own distinct ideologies and policies, present opposing visions of American society, economy, and foreign affairs, and form the basic axes of American politics. Let's look at the differences between the two parties. The two major political parties in the United States, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, have had a profound influence on American politics and society based on their different ideologies and policy directions. The Republican Party is centered on conservatism, emphasizing individual freedom and responsibility, small government, and a free market economy, along with traditional values and a strong national defense. The Democratic Party pursues policies that solve social problems and protect the rights of various groups through an active role of the government, based on progressivism that pursues social equality, a welfare state, and inclusiveness. The differences between the two parties are evident on a wide range of issues, including economic policy, social issues, foreign policy and defense, and environmental issues, and their respective visions for America's future are often conflicting. Republicans value maximizing individual autonomy, while Democrats focus on the public interest and strengthening the social safety net. Ideological differences have a significant impact on election outcomes and policy directions, and for American voters, this is a crucial moment of decision where they must choose between two different paths. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party are political parties that reflect the diversity of American society, and they are leading the future of the country through different philosophies and policies. Their differences are a vital part of American democracy, playing a vital role in maintaining political balance and ensuring diverse voices are heard. The competition and debate between the two political parties is an essential process for solving the problems facing American society and a key element in maintaining the vitality of American democracy. Let's take a closer look at the key differences between the Republican and Democratic parties and the policy directions they represent. Now, let's start looking for the right to know. The Republican Party is one of the major political parties in the United States, founded in 1854. Nicknamed the Grand Old Party, it is known as a party representing conservative tendencies in American politics. It has played a significant role in American history, and has seen several presidents elected. In the mid-20th century, its conservative leanings became even stronger. In the 1980s, Ronald Reagan, the 40th president, established the modern Republican Party's conservative economic policies by promoting small government, deregulation, and tax cuts through economic policies known as Reaganomics. Even in the 21st century, it continues to focus on conservative economic policies and traditional social values. Recently, with the emergence of Donald Trump, 45th president, new political lines such as America First, anti-globalism, and hardline immigration policies have emerged within the Republican Party. It means minimizing government intervention and allowing individuals and businesses to operate autonomously in the market. Tax cuts and deregulation are among the Republican Party's core economic policies. It emphasizes traditional family values and moral conservatism. It can also be expressed in positions such as opposition to abortion, opposition to same-sex marriage, and protection of religious freedom. We value a strong national defense and military power. America First is prominent, which puts America's interests first in international affairs, and there is a tendency to prefer bilateral negotiations or independent U.S. diplomacy over multilateralism. They often take a hardline stance on immigration issues, emphasizes strong border controls and restrictions on immigrants to prevent illegal immigration. It has exercised strong political influence at various levels, including the federal government, state governments, and local governments. In addition to presidential elections, the party frequently wins majorities in congressional elections, and maintains a strong base of support in the South and Midwest. As the leading political party representing conservatism, it continues to have a major influence on American politics, based on its support base for economic freedom and traditional values. The Democratic Party is one of the major political parties in the United States and represents progressive tendencies. Founded in 1828, it is one of the oldest political parties in the United States, and its key policies include addressing economic inequality, social justice, protecting the environment, and strengthening a comprehensive welfare system. They favor big government and economic intervention through regulation, and value social liberalism and inclusive values. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, Franklin Roosevelt introduced the Social Security system through the New Deal, and implemented policies of active government intervention in the economy, such as leading the economic recovery. It has established itself as an important political force, with the support of workers, farmers and low-income earners. In the 1960s, Democratic Party President Lyndon B. Johnson, 36th president, sought to eliminate poverty and racism through his Great Society program. He played a major role in ending racial discrimination and guaranteeing African Americans the right to vote by passing the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The Democratic Party has become the main party of minority and progressive supporters. In 2008, it elected the 44th president, Barack Obama, the first African American president of the United States. Obama significantly expanded access to health insurance through the Affordable Care Act and promoted various social welfare policies to overcome the economic crisis. The 46th president, Joe Biden, was elected in 2020, and the Biden administration is focusing on responding to COVID-19, investing in infrastructure, addressing climate change, and strengthening minority rights. It emphasizes government intervention to reduce economic inequality. We value individual freedom and equality. The United States focuses on cooperating with international organizations and strengthening relationships with allies. Have a more inclusive stance on immigration. The Democratic Party is a representative political party that pursues progressive change and social inclusion in American society. The United States Republican Party was founded in 1854. The initial goal was to prevent the spread of slavery and to support the movement to abolish it. The political situation before that was very complicated, with many parties and movements having conflicting interests. In the mid-19th century, conflict over slavery intensified in the United States. Tensions between the North and the South increased further. When the Kansas-Nebraska Act 1854 left the issue of slavery in the new state up to the residents, as the industrial centers of the North and the agricultural centers of the South clashed, the anti-slavery movement grew more active. Against this backdrop, several political parties, Anti-Slavery Party, Freedom Party, etc., and politicians came together to form the Republican Party. The Republican Party nominated John C. Fremont as its first presidential candidate after its founding, and he ran for president in 1856. Although they did not win, the Republican Party began to solidify its position as a major political party. In 1860, the Republican Party won the presidential election with Abraham Lincoln becoming the 16th president, and his election led to the secession of the southern states and the outbreak of the American Civil War. Civil War 1861 to 1865 under President Lincoln. The Republican Party waged a war to abolish slavery and preserve the Union. During the war, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation 1863, freeing slaves in the South who opposed the Union. After the war, he pursued policies to rebuild the South. Although legislation was passed granting blacks the right to vote and citizenship, Reconstruction policies suffered because of backlash in the South. In the 1920s, during World War I, he gained strong support for his conservative economic policies and anti-progressive stance. During Herbert Hoover's presidency, the Great Depression weakened the Republican Party's base. The 1950s and 1960s saw a resurgence of the Republican Party under President Dwight David Eisenhower, and a more moderate stance. The civil rights movement and social changes of the 1960s gave the Republican Party a conservative base of support. With the rise of President Ronald Reagan in the 1980s, the Republican Party reached the pinnacle of conservatism. Reagan led economic growth by promoting Reaganomics policies, centered on small government, low taxes, and deregulation. The 21st century Republican Party has set a new political direction through President Donald Trump, emphasizing America first, anti-globalism, and a hardline immigration policy. The Republican Party represents conservatism in American politics and continues to pursue policies that emphasize traditional values and economic freedom. The Democratic Party is the oldest political party in the United States, founded in 1828. Initially, it was founded on democratic principles emphasizing sovereignty and the rights of the people, building on the support of Andrew Jackson. The Democratic Party's predecessor was the Democratic Republican Party, which was formed in 1792. Led by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison, it aimed to limit the power of the central government and strengthen the rights of state governments. The Democratic Party really came into its own in the 1820s, with Andrew Jackson's run for president. Jackson was elected president in 1828 with popular support for his emphasis on the rights of the people and his opposition to elite politics. Under President Jackson, the Democratic Party promoted political participation by ordinary citizens and argued for more direct democracy. It led to several reforms, such as expanding voting rights, In the mid-19th century, the Democratic Party suffered serious internal conflict over the issue of slavery. As the conflict between the pro-slavery South and the anti-slavery North deepened, the Democratic Party faced the threat of division. The American Civil War 1861 to 1865. The Democratic Party was divided during the war, with some supporting the Union and others supporting the North, creating a complex situation. After the war, the Democratic Party's influence declined due to backlash against Reconstruction policies. During Reconstruction, the Republican Party took control, while the Democratic Party became more isolated due to its anti-civil rights stance in the South. From the 1870s through the 1890s, the Democratic Party began to regain support in the South. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, President Franklin D. Roosevelt increased government intervention in the economy and established a social welfare system through the New Deal. The Democratic Party will receive support from workers, farmers, and low-income earners. In the 1960s, the Democratic Party became a champion of African American rights through the Civil Rights Movement. President Lyndon B. Johnson attempted to end racial discrimination by passing the Civil Rights Act 1964 and the Voting Rights Act 1965. In the 1970s and 1980s, issues such as women's rights, environmental issues, and sexual minority rights became major agendas for the Democratic Party. The election of President Barack Obama in 2008 marked a significant milestone in the history of the Democratic Party. As the first African American president of the United States, he expanded access to healthcare through healthcare reform Obamacare. President Joe Biden's administration is focusing on responding to COVID-19, climate change, and resolving social inequality. And the Democratic Party still pursues progressive values. The Democratic Party still plays an important role in American politics as a party that emphasizes progressive values and social inclusion. Major policies of the U.S. Republican Party. The Republican Party is a conservative political party founded in 1854 and is one of the two major political parties in the United States. Its core ideology is traditional conservatism, emphasizing small government, individual freedom, and a free market economy. They value individual rights and responsibilities and tend to minimize government intervention. I believe that excessive government intervention can infringe on individual freedom, and that economic and social problems should be solved through the autonomous functioning of the market. It pushes for public sector reductions, tax cuts, and deregulation. We believe that economic growth can be achieved through a free market economy, and we support lower corporate taxes and business-friendly policies. Tax cuts are a key Republican policy. He supports lowering taxes on high-income earners and corporations, arguing that this will spur economic growth and create jobs. Reducing government spending and emphasizing private sector-led economic growth are the Republican Party's core economic philosophies. We value traditional family values and religious values. They tend to support social conservative positions, such as opposition to same-sex marriage, opposition to abortion, and strong guarantees of religious freedom. I strongly support gun rights and seek to constitutionally protect the right of individuals to bear arms for self-defense. They emphasize a strong national defense and favor policies that strengthen military power. In foreign policy, it pursues an America First policy and tends to pursue an independent foreign policy that prioritizes American interests over international alliances. It often emphasizes America's role as the world's policeman, justifying military intervention for global security. We favor policies that strengthen border security and strengthen legal sanctions and deportations against illegal immigrants. There is a tendency to pursue more restrictive or selective immigration policies when it comes to legal immigration. They support the fossil fuel industry and tend to rely on traditional energy resources like oil, gas, and coal to grow their economies and create jobs. Regarding environmental regulations, we view them as factors that hinder economic growth and take a stance to ease regulations. Some deny the scientific consensus on climate change or take a cautious stance. They prefer private health insurance and want to scale back government-run health insurance programs. We oppose government-led health insurance systems and support a free market system where individuals can choose their health insurance. They also take a restrictive stance on welfare systems, emphasizing individual independence and responsibility. We strongly emphasize law and order, and support strict punishment for crime and a strong police force. There is a tendency to maintain social stability and public order by strengthening the criminal justice system. His main supporters are conservative white middle-class people, business people, religious conservatives, and voters in the South and Midwest. It has close ties with religious groups based on the Christian faith. Ideologically, it represents the conservative nature of American society, focusing on traditional values and small government, and takes contrasting positions from the Democratic Party on many economic and social issues. Key policies of the U.S. Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is a progressive, center-left political party and one of the two major political parties in the United States. It emphasizes social equality, justice, and inclusion, and tends to seek to solve social problems through the role of the government. We support policies that reduce social inequality and promote economic, racial, and gender equality. We value the role of big government and believe that government has a key role to play in providing a social safety net and reducing inequality. We support low-income people through public programs such as social welfare systems, and pursue active policies to reduce inequality in education, healthcare, housing, etc. We favor policies that reduce income inequality by raising taxes on the wealthy and big business, while supporting low-income and middle-class people. We value social progressivism and emphasize racial, sexual, gender, and religious diversity and equality. Supports progressive positions on issues such as LGBTQ rights, women's right to choose an abortion, and immigrant rights. We support policies that respect individual choice and freedom, such as legalizing same-sex marriage and guaranteeing abortion rights. We view climate change as a major issue and strongly support green energy and environmental protection policies. It takes a stance to strengthen regulations to transition to renewable energy, solar and wind, and reduce carbon emissions. Internationally, we actively participate in environmental protection agreements such as the Paris Climate Agreement and value global cooperation in responding to the climate crisis. We want to push for reforms that provide more opportunities for immigrants and give illegal immigrants a path to citizenship. We value policies that support immigrants' contributions to the American economy and society. Unlike the Republican Party, it tends to emphasize protecting immigrant rights and integration rather than strengthening border security. We support the position of seeking to solve global problems through cooperation with international organizations such as the United Nations and NATO. They seek to resolve disputes through diplomatic solutions and negotiations, and are often relatively cautious about military intervention. We seek to expand access to healthcare through comprehensive healthcare reform like Obamacare. I believe that the healthcare system should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income or occupation. We want to push for measures like strengthening background checks and banning semi-automatic weapons to prevent mass gun violence. We believe that regulating gun ownership is an important element in ensuring public safety. We support reforming the criminal justice system to address racial inequities, including reducing sentences for nonviolent offenders and strengthening correctional and rehabilitation programs. We seek to build a fairer judicial system through police reform and improved criminal justice systems. Key constituencies include urban areas, young people, educated voters, and minorities, African Americans, Hispanics, and Asians. We strive to create an inclusive and diverse society based on progressive social policies and economic policies that value equality. It emphasizes the active role of the government and takes a more progressive and open stance in economic, social, environmental, and foreign policies. The traditional support base of the U.S. Republican Party is mainly. It is located in the South, Midwest, and some parts of the West of the United States. Here's a breakdown of the top Republican constituencies. 1. Southern United States. It has strong support in states including Texas, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Mississippi. Traditionally, conservative values are valued, and religious background has a significant influence. 2. Midwestern United States. States include Ohio, Indiana, Iowa, and Michigan. The region's economy is centered on agriculture and manufacturing, drawing heavily from the middle and working classes. 3. Western United States. It has support in Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, and Nevada. The region values individualism and freedom, and is positive about the Republican Party's policies of economic freedom and reduced government regulation. 4. Outskirts of major U.S. cities. Republican support is strong in the suburbs of many large cities. They tend to be more conservative than urban areas, and are more sensitive to issues such as public safety, education, and taxes. 5. U.S. military and global areas. Areas with military bases are where many veterans live also tend to support Republicans. There is strong support for defense and national security issues. The Republican Party's traditional strongholds display regional characteristics that reflect the party's policies and ideology. Thanks to these characteristics, in recent years, the changing political environment has shaken the party's support base in some areas. The traditional support base of the Democratic Party in the United States is mainly concentrated in metropolitan areas and the Northeast and West Coast regions. Here's a breakdown of the Democratic Party's key strongholds. 1. Metropolitan areas of the United States. It has strong support in major cities such as New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, and Philadelphia. These areas are densely populated and have a diverse mix of races and cultures, which fosters progressive values and interest in social issues. 2. Northeastern United States. Democratic support is strong in states such as Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, historically a center of the labor and civil rights movements. It tends to support progressive policies. 3. West Coast of the United States. Democratic support is strong in states like California, Washington, and Oregon. The region values progressive approaches to environmental and social issues, and tends to be supportive of immigrant and minority rights. 4. Some areas of the American Midwest. Democrats also hold strong support in some Midwestern states, including Minnesota, Michigan, and Illinois. The area is an industrial center, and policies that emphasize the rights of workers and the middle class are gaining support. 5. American college towns. Cities with many colleges. Berkeley, Amherst tend to have a higher percentage of young voters and people with progressive values, which leads to higher Democratic support. Traditional support areas are characterized by progressive regional characteristics that reflect support for a range of issues, including social justice and environmental issues. In recent years, changes in the political environment have also led to shifts in support bases in some areas. Of the two major political parties in the United States, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party, are politically balanced, with results that change from election to election. Here's an introduction to the key battleground areas. 1. Florida. Florida is known as a competitive state because of its large population and diverse racial makeup. It has significant support from both Republicans and Democrats, and has a major impact on the outcome of presidential elections. 2. Ohio. Historically referred to as the windbreak of elections, it is traditionally a competitive region. The Midwest's mix of working class and agricultural areas keeps both parties competitive. 3. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a mix of metropolitan and rural areas, with the Democratic city of Philadelphia and the Republican western states being the battlegrounds. This is an area where the results change with each election. 4. Michigan. Michigan is a hub for the automotive industry and is sensitive to economic changes. This is a region where Republicans and Democrats compete fiercely, and it will have a major impact on the election results. 5. Wisconsin. Wisconsin has emerged as a competitive state in recent years. The mix of Democratic-dominated big cities and Republican-dominated rural areas makes for a highly volatile election. 6. Arizona. Arizona is a battleground state where Democratic support has been on the rise in recent years. The competition between the two parties is fierce, with their diverse demographics and concerns over immigration issues. 7. Georgia. Georgia is seeing growing Democratic support due to its growing population and growing cities. The Atlanta area enjoys strong Democratic support and is drawing attention as a competitive district. Battleground states play a crucial role in elections, and both parties are stepping up their campaigns and policies to target voters in these areas. Introducing famous politicians from the U.S. Republican Party. 1. John McCain. He is a senator from Arizona and ran as the Republican candidate for president in 2000 and 2008. He was known for his deep insight into foreign policy and military matters. 2. Mitt Romney. Former governor of Massachusetts and 2012 Republican presidential candidate. He is currently a Utah senator and is noted for his conservative stance and independent thinking. 3. Lindsey Graham. As a South Carolina senator, he is a strong voice on foreign policy and military issues. It also exerted influence during the Trump administration. 4. Paul Ryan. As a member of the Wisconsin House of Representatives, he served as Speaker of the House and contributed to budget and tax reform. He ran as Mitt Romney's vice presidential candidate in 2012. 5. The Cheney family. Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney. Dick Cheney served as vice president in the George W. Bush administration, making key foreign policy decisions. Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney's daughter and current U.S. representative for Wyoming, has been noted for her criticism of Trump. 6. Marco Rubio. A Florida state senator, he ran as a Republican candidate for president in 2016. He takes conservative positions on immigration policy and economic issues. 7. Tom Cotton. A senator from Arkansas, he is known for his support of a strong foreign policy and military response. There are many other politicians from the Republican Party who are active in various fields supporting the values and policies of the Republican Party. Introducing famous politicians from the Democratic Party of the United States. 1. Hillary Clinton. Former Secretary of State and Democratic candidate for president in 2008 and 2016. Expressed strong support for women's rights and human rights issues. 2. Bernie Sanders. As a Vermont senator, he supported democratic socialism and emphasized reducing economic inequality and healthcare reform. He ran as a Democratic candidate in the 2016 and 2020 presidential elections. 3. Nancy Pelosi. He served as a member of the California House of Representatives and as Speaker of the House several times. He led the Democratic Party's policies and contributed to the passage of many bills. 4. Eric Holder. As Attorney General in the Obama administration, she addressed important issues of law and justice. 5. Kirsten Gillibrand. As a New York State Senator, she is a strong supporter of women's rights and prevention of sexual violence, and is actively involved in various social issues. 6. Chuck Schumer. An American politician who has served as the Democratic leader in the Senate since 2017. From 1980 until now, I have never lost an election. 8. Jane Fonda. An actor and activist, she is known as a passionate advocate for environmental and human rights issues. I have also participated in various Democratic Party campaigns. In addition to these, there are many politicians from the Democratic Party. They support the ideology and policies of the Democratic Party and address various social issues. Let me introduce you to the presidents from the Republican Party. 16th President Abraham Lincoln, February 12, 1809, April 15, 1865. Term of office March 4, 1861 to April 15, 1865. 18th President Hiram Ulysses Grant, April 27, 1822, July 23, 1885. Period March 4, 1869 to March 4, 1877. 19th President Rutherford Burkert Hayes, October 4, 1822, January 17, 1893. Term of office March 3, 1877 to March 3, 1881. 20th President James Abram Garfield, November 19, 1831, September 19, 1881. Term of office March 4, 1881 to September 19, 1881. 21st President Chester Alan Arthur, the 5th of October 1829, the 18th of November 1886. Term of office September 20, 1881 to March 4, 1885. 23rd President Benjamin Harrison B. August 20, 1833, March 13, 1901. Term of office March 4, 1889 to March 3, 1893. 25th President William McKinley Jr. January 29, 1843, September 14, 1901. Term of office March 4, 1897 to September 14, 1901. 26th President Theodore Roosevelt Jr. October 27, 1858, January 6, 1919. Term of office September 14, 1901 to March 4, 1909. 27th President William Howard Taft September 15, 1857, March 8, 1930. Term of office March 4, 1909 to March 4, 1913. 29th President Warren Gamaliel Harding November 2, 1865, August 2, 1923. Term of office March 4, 1909 to March 4, 1913. 30th President John Calvin Coolidge Jr. July 4, 1872, January 5, 1933. Term of office August 2, 1923 to March 4, 1929. 31st President Herbert Clark Hoover August 10, 1874, October 20, 1964. Term of office March 4, 1929 to March 4, 1933. 34th President Dwight David Eisenhower October 14, 1890, March 28, 1969. Term of office January 20, 1953 to January 20, 1961. 37th President Richard Milhouse Nixon January 9, 1913, April 22, 1994. Term of office January 20, 1969 to August 9, 1974. 38th President Gerald Rudolph Ford Jr. July 14, 1913, December 26, 2006. Term of office August 9, 1974 to January 20, 1977. 40th President Ronald Wilson Reagan February 6, 1911, June 5, 2004. Term of office January 20, 1981 to January 20, 1989. 41st President George Herbert Walker Bush June 12, 1924, November 30, 2018. Term of office January 20, 1989 to January 20, 1993. 43rd President George Walker Bush July 6, 1946. Term of office January 20, 2001 to January 20, 2009. 45th President Donald John Trump from June 14, 1946. Term of office January 20, 2017 to January 20, 2021. Let me introduce you to the presidents from the Democratic Party of the United States. 7th President Andrew Jackson March 15, 1767, June 8, 1845. Term of office March 4, 1829 to March 4, 1837. 8th President Martin Van Buren December 5, 1782, July 24, 1862. Term of office March 4, 1837 to March 4, 1841. 11th President James Knox Polk November 2, 1795, June 15, 1849. Term of office March 4, 1845 to March 4, 1849. 14th President Franklin Pierce November 23, 1804, October 8, 1869. Term of office March 4, 1853 to March 4, 1857. 17th President Andrew Johnson December 29, 1808 – July 31, 1875. Term of office April 15, 1865 to March 4, 1869. 22nd and 24th President Stephen Grover Cleveland March 18, 1837 – June 24, 1908. Term of office March 4, 1885 to March 4, 1889. March 4, 1893 to March 4, 1897. 28th President Thomas Woodrow Wilson, December 28, 1856 – February 3, 1924. Term of office March 4, 1913 to March 4, 1921. 32nd President Franklin Delano Roosevelt January 30, 1882 – April 12, 1945. Term of office March 4, 1933 to April 12, 1945. 34th President Harry S. Truman May 8, 1884 – December 26, 1972. Term of office April 12, 1945 to January 20, 1953. 35th President John Fitzgerald Kennedy May 29, 1917 November 22, 1963. Term of office January 20, 1961 to November 22, 1963. 36th President Lyndon Baines Johnson August 27, 1908 January 22, 1973. Term of office November 22, 1963 to January 20, 1969. 39th President James Earl Jimmy Carter Jr. born October 1, 1924. Term of office January 20, 1977 to January 20, 1981. 42nd President William Jefferson Clinton from August 19, 1946. Term of office January 20, 1993 to January 20, 2001. 44th President Barack Hussein Obama II born August 4, 1961. Term of office January 20, 2009 to January 20, 2017. 46th President Joseph Robinette, Joe Biden Jr. born November 20, 1942. Term of office from January 20, 2021. This information is based on the official websites of each political party, USA, Go, Congress, Gov, and the latest data provided by reliable sources such as BBC, CNN, The New York Times, Pew Research Center, and Brookings Institution. The American Political Parties by Michael Nelson. A comprehensive analysis of the major political parties in the United States. The two parties Sisyatem io nu lugays deo hisetoli obu American politicaol patiju. By John H. These resources provide an in-depth understanding of the history, ideology, policies, and political tendencies of the Republican and Democratic parties. American politics is always exciting, but sometimes it can be so complex that it can be mind-boggling. We must not forget that the two parties are the two major axes of American politics, each representing its own unique values and ideologies. We take a closer look at the key differences and similarities between the Democrats and Republicans. The biggest difference is that the Democratic Party emphasizes social equality and active government intervention, while the Republican Party values individual freedom and the market economy. Both parties share the common goal of protecting American democracy and pursuing the well-being of its citizens. There will be conflicts of opinion and sometimes even extreme confrontations. But through this process, American politics will evolve further. American politics is a living organism, constantly changing and evolving. We will continue to watch the actions of both parties and work together to shape the future of American politics. Subscriptions, likes, and comments are a great help to us. See you in the next video. Thank you.